All
Yes, so it
right.
was really great hearing our NIN session a year back when I was just a new fresher for a month into college. From that point, I just wanted to get an opportunity if I could get a chance to interview on something, and just Economics
No,
Club
no,
provided that
no.
option.
No,
Yeah,
it's
so
a pleasure. Pleasure, Mark.
let's get started.
I recently took on the role of being the CEO of the IIT Delhi Endowment Management Foundation. This is actually sort of the support team that helps the IIT Endowment Fund, set it up. That was set up in 2019 with the purpose of supporting the institute's fundraising and ensuring that the institute could diversify its financing requirements. It's modeled very much on the basis like most of our US universities, which is Harvard, Yale. These are all private universities, but their funding has been over the years been supported by contributions and donations, and which is what manages all the operations as well as the strategic development of the institute. So IIT, as you know, there are many more IITs. Government funding is getting more and more sort of hard to get. And it's very important. We as alums, we're all very grateful for the time that we had here and for what we sort of started and embarked our lives on, and what has really helped us impact a lot of things that we've done. So it's our way of giving back, and that the gratitude of that. But the thing was is that they wanted to go.
If you could start off by just telling how your daily day goes and what your typical day looks like.
You mean here at the Endowment Foundation?
Yeah, sir, whatever, endowment fund specific or in general also, whatever
Okay.
way you prefer.
Okay. So good afternoon, Sathak, and everyone else. I mean, it's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for the opportunity for you to be interested in sort of my life and what is it that I'm doing. So it's our way of giving back, and that the gratitude of that. But the thing was is that they wanted to go beyond just funding. We want to really ensure that these funds are used towards the advancement of the institute. So therefore, a special endowment board of founders was established, and those are people who have contributed significantly to the initial setup of the endowment fund. These funds are then invested into different sort of opportunities, which are guided by the Institute's investment committee, which are then used by the returns of which are then used towards different projects and different activities towards the advancement of the Institute, student welfare, infrastructure, for any other projects and research and development. So there's a multiple and a host of them. The foundation was created to be the service arm of that fund. The fund is a board which includes all these founders and the administration of the institute. We, as the foundation, are the team of professionals that reach out to alums for fundraising, as well as to discuss and to understand any special purpose activities that they may be interested in, causes that they're interested in, want to support, and ensure that we link that up with the institute's missions and its purposes and the administrators, so that a purpose can be designed and that can become a special contribution towards the advancement of the institute. So in a nutshell, that's what it is. What do I do on a daily basis? Well, you got to like my job. I mean, my job is, guess what? I actually go and contact all my friends and batchmates and others, all meeting up all around the world. So we can be contacting people in Australia all the way till the United States. And a host of all of these are so interested in knowing what's happening at the Institute. Some of them haven't been here for a while. Some have said, oh, yes, there was something I contributed to for years ago. Can you give me an update on that? So it's wonderful to be a part of that discussion. It's really interesting because of the fact that we have to do this strategically. We really have to do it in a way that can really become something, because there's a growth objective that we have for the fund. We want to raise, as you've heard from the different news, We want to raise $1 billion by
Brilliant.
2030. There's a vision that we have for IIT Delhi, and all of those causes. How can that get funded and supported? And the endowment fund is a big part of being able to realize that. So that's really, I'm making that whole strategy come to life, my team and I.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to be talking with all our alums and amazed by their support, by their enthusiasm, and more importantly, their collective. How can we do it all together? And can we go beyond just fun? Can we be a part of it? Can we contribute in other ways? That interest. And it's great engaging with the institute faculty, team, administrators, and staff to be able to bring those to life. So that's what I'm doing right now, Satak.
That sounds pretty amazing. Matlab, yes, getting to connect with so many people. It must have been like 30 years and so then connecting with so many people. Must be
That's
great. So
right.
what made you take up this role?
So I think when all of you will also graduate, you'll feel the same way. There comes a point in your life when you say, "Hey, you're grateful for what it is that you've been able to achieve," and you realize that a big part of that has been possible by the time and sort of the development you had personally. I think all of us at IIT,
Mhm.
it's a life-changing moment, right?
Yeah.
It is a time we come here as kids and then leave as, overnight. We get this degree saying we're engineers, right? On that graduation day.
Yeah.
We haven't changed overnight. We've gone through at least in our time, it was a 5 year evolution, right?
Yes.
And in those 5 years, you made some of your best friends. You have made some of your best understanding of the strengths that you have in your own and some of the things that you're interested in. So that discovery, the bonding that you've had, and using those skills then to do something meaningful and establishing our superpower, making a difference in the world. I think we all come to a realization that we must give back. We have to provide the sort of a meaningful contribution to the next generation and to the next generation, and haunt them also to have the same experience that we had. But times have changed. Things are, research is going more cutting edge. We have to be competitive with the others. Why IT? We want IIT to be right on top in the world. So this particular opportunity, when we had our 35th reunion, our batch, our 85 batch.
55.
At that time, we heard about it, and all of the group that was there said that, oh, let's Vinay, you're back in the country. You can, why don't you go ahead whenever the position comes up? Do be a big part of it. So that's how the seed was planted, and fortunately, it was the board went through a huge selection and made my pitch, and here I am.
Oh, that does sound very interesting. Means, yeah, definitely coming back to the institute and giving it back in the
Very much.
time. So, you told that there's a different fund with all the stakeholders, the institute and the big donors, and you guys oversee it. So, it must be a team of people. Could you comment a little on the composition of the team? What sort of people are there? A little more.
Right. So,
Mm,
as I mentioned, yes, we had a first group of founders, and these founders were those that contributed pretty significantly to the fund to ensure that it gets started. So they pledged and committed, 10 crores to 5 crores over 5 years, and a number of them are also founders. So the primary sort of group that works really on how do we raise and deploy the funds is this endowment board. They're the ones that supported by the Endowment Foundation, and this foundation works very closely with the Alumni Relations Office. And we have a team which has really got the skill set that is to be able to do this activity in a very professional manner. You see, yes, the institute has been raising funds earlier on, but it's been mostly based upon somebody coming toward the institute and says, "I want to contribute." Now we're going in a more proactive and in a strategic manner, which is there's a number of projects, causes that the institute needs support on. How can we now match donors and the projects and the need for the funds together? Yes, there's a general corpus. The general corpus is, the institute has a number of projects. It has its own requirements and projects. Those general corpuses can help fund those causes. then we as alums are very keen that something that we had done, maybe that's the cause I want to be. We were all, I was a sports, activist. And we like to ensure that this institute has a much better and a higher level of sports, facilities and infrastructure. We want to contribute to that. So the idea is now that we reach out, we are receiving a lot of requests for students. We'd like to support student scholarships. We want to ensure that there's a vision that every student who enters into IIT must, have a scholarship. Yes, the institute already ensures that everybody who comes, because of financial reasons, nobody would be denied the opportunity to complete his or her education. The other way is, how can we also ensure that it's not just the tuition, but there are other opportunities? For example, there's a number of people who would like to do their entrepreneurship journey, right?
Yeah.
How can we support entrepreneurs? So yes, so the first few causes that were done in the institute and our team and all developed along with our founders was the endowment merit scholarship and
Oh,
the endowment seed fund. The endowment merit scholarships is basically the top 15, both men and women. We want to encourage a lot more women to consider
mhm.
being part of the institute and do courses which are more science and engineering related, and consider IIT Delhi as their preferred institute, in competition with all the others, right? Other options that they may have. So the team that we have right now is, of course, I'm the CEO. We have a lead project, manager. That project manager and program manager, she looks after the understanding of the different projects and programs that are institutionalized. In
Mm.
the institute, there's a number of research happening. There's a number of centers of excellence that have got set up. There's a number of scholarships that are required, to help both people who are financial need, but those that are also meritorious. We have infrastructure. The institute is sort of been growing and growing, and we need to upgrade that.
Mm.
As I mentioned, our sports center, or then we could have other centers also. So the idea is these programs translate them into a proposition that is then communicated to the alums at large and philanthropists and others, and then we start receiving grants. There's the administration of all these grants. We're a Section 8, which is a sort of a non-profit company that comes with a host of compliances. So we, of course, have a chartered accountant, which
Yeah.
is help us maintain all that. We have audits that have to go through. Then we have an outreach and a relationship manager whose job is to ensure that, one, we not only reach out, but we also inform those that have contributed as to how their funds have been deployed, as how they made a difference to the institute, and we provide them, updates and other kind of information that would encourage them to reach out to others and advocate the cause that we are doing at the institute, right? You must have satisfied donors who feel
Mm.
that their,
Yeah.
their, their funds have made a difference, and then they are more than happy to contribute more, as well as consider and spread the good word around and get more and more people to consider contributing to their alma mater. So,
Yeah.
and of course, like I mentioned, there's a host of institute resources also, the accounting office, all these scholarships and all we have to manage from the dean of faculty. We have to manage the dean academics. We have to work for professor chairs. We have a host of things,
Yeah.
and we stay in touch with everyone here to make sure that we make the best use and we execute these programs to the maximum efficiency possible.
Yeah, so that just sound very interesting. So, any specific thing that the team has some sort of inclination towards people with economics slash finance background? Any such specific thing on
Oh,
that?
no, no, no. So we're happy, and we have a number. We also use the support of interns at our office a lot, because why? Because of the reason that we want them to be a part of this journey. We want them to early on see how it is and reach out to alums, feel inspired by them, but also be inspired themselves that all these things can make in later on in life, how can we also make a difference, and how can we also give back to the institute. So we always, we promote all those activities. We have communications. We have from an economic standpoint, we have to do business cases. We have to do analysis, right, of the
Mhm.
return and the benefit, and make sure that that's sensible and reasonable, and also competitive. Because you have to prioritize. There'll be 20 projects, but there's only so much funds. How do we decide? So we have to propose the business case and the impact and the sort of return on both from a social impact and the monetary part to the board, which then makes that decision, right?
Yeah.
So it's all very interesting. Economics, as you know, one of the fundamental things we want to encourage entrepreneurship, right? That's something our
Yeah.
institute is well known for. And the idea is that there would be times when we would also be a part of the selection for awards that we ourselves are, promoting
Mm.
about, that we have these seed funds and ideas are being proposed. And those ideas also have to be evaluated with a certain objective and as a criteria so that we can then create and shortlist there. So there'll be a host of other kind of activities that we would get involved with. So I see that as another way in which we can have the skill set of the economics group to help us.
Yeah. So you mentioned about interns. So how do you pick interns? Any specific number, any way people apply or something like that?
So yes, so
Yeah.
the promotion of these interns are we whenever there's a requirement. So for example, right now a lot of it is on communication. So we have
Yeah.
people helping us with our social media sort of designs. We have others that are about communication. We have databases, right, that we need to also start to become smarter.
Yeah.
They're just not information. They have to follow a certain filter, certain logics. We're trying to create dossiers and profiles so that we can, whenever there's a certain criteria, we're able to find out. So if we're going for a road show, for example, to San Francisco, how can we get all there with a certain zip code? If we're going down to Bangalore, how many of those that are interested in a certain field? So all those kind of logics and others, we need some help in programming. So whenever such requirements have come, we put out a post, in our social media, in our endowment handles, and try to see and seek support from inside the student institute. We are fully, aware of your time constraints, your core focus is, of course, your study. So we keep it very, very flexible and try to make sure that it works both for us as well as for our student interns.
Yeah, this was new. I didn't know there are interns working for the endowment fund. This was
Yes,
really
there are.
enlightening. I think would be for all our viewers too.
That's
Um,
right.
yeah, this was so means like any number of interns that you have or matlab, any
Oh,
plans on
this is on a need basis that we
need
have.
basis.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and as we have the thing, the short projects, they could be a longer term project. So the scope of that will keep coming up as and when we have an opportunity. So look out for that. Okay.
Yes.
Join the Endowment Foundation. LinkedIn is a great source for that.
Okay.
Do visit the LinkedIn
Yeah.
pages of the Endowment Foundation, and you'll always see these kind of notes up. Okay.
Yeah. Sure, sir. So, any specific future goals which the endowment team is working as of now, near future or in 5 years, or anything you feel like sharing about?
So our primary goal is right now, a lot of it is in the fundraise. And I'm very
Mhm.
happy to say that, we've got pledges right now of over, almost 400 crores. Okay, out of
Oh,
which we have already, yes, and we have realized almost about 160 crores, already. So like I said, they're pledges, and then yes, we will need to go out and reach out more. One of the things is that, of course, this is during COVID time. And during COVID time, we haven't really had physical interactions. When
yeah.
you're especially appealing for contributions, it's always nice to be able to meet and explain the causes, right? And then also showcase some of the activities that we would love to people to visit here at the on campus. As you know, the Endowment Foundation has a new office on the main building, and we've designed it in a way to make it very comfortable for our visitors, people who are coming to the institute to get a very futuristic view of how we're looking at advancing the institute, and that it's possible to make these kind of a sample of some of the changes that we are involved with. So the idea is to interact with both families, their offices. Some of them have their own companies, be a part of the social responsibility contributions that they could make. We could, introduce them to lab. So I think now that we have, with COVID easing off, we'll be making more outreach, campaigns with the leadership of the institute, talking about the vision of the institute, and demonstrating to them how how the endowment fund and its support is helping the institute advance. So there'll be a lot more proof points that we can showcase there.
Yeah, that would be great. So, any specific challenge in that retrospective? You mentioned COVID has made one-on-one interaction a little less possible, and I can relate to that. Means how much that impacts.
Right, right.
Anything more on that, or anything other than
So
that as
the
challenge?
real challenge, I think, is now the fact that one, it's always about, especially when it comes to contribution, explaining to everyone that what is it that their funds, why does IIT need money, for
Yeah.
example? It's a government institute, it's an eminent institute, does it have enough funds, for example? So the realization that no, it really needs to do a lot more. And there's the possibility of dot more, but the paucity of funds is getting more and more acute. So being that conviction and that understanding that everything is important to contribute. So one, bringing that reality understanding is one of the first things that we are always, we use the opportunity when we meet with them to explain that. The second is that will the funds be really used for the purpose? So the demonstration that yes, there's a good governance of the procedure, that there's systems, there are processes, there are checks and balances, and there are audit systems. So we explain all those kind of details to them. Setting all these things up was, I think, one of the biggest challenges, even during COVID time. But
Yeah.
I think with the support of everyone, we've been really been able to do that. Now it's a question of the track record and trying to get people to see how their contributions are making a difference. I think the challenge of now communicating this, the challenge of showcasing this is the real opportunity. We always turn a challenge into an opportunity.
Yeah.
And this opportunity will help to create more and more advocacy. It would create more and more belief. It would create more and more trust. It would create a lot more sort of amplification of everything that we're doing. So it's amazing to be able to do that in such a short time, and it's really a startup. This is really a startup. Everything that you go through in
Yes.
that are the same steps that we're following over here.
Yeah. So you mentioned startup. So that just brought me something which I saw on your LinkedIn profile about having created a consultancy firm, MillenStrat, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, MillenStrat Advisory and Research.
So
So how did
I'll
you?
tell you the story on that one. So
Yeah.
my I've been in the auto. My career has been in the auto industry.
Yes.
Something that what drove me to IIT Delhi in the first place.
Oh.
I always wanted to be a mechanical engineer, and when I actually joined IIT, for example, I realized while I've gone through a lot of it, I had learned nothing about the practicality of it, and I wanted to know more about cars. So when I graduated, I joined as a graduate engineer at Tata Motors at that time, telco.
Yes.
It was called telco. And that's when I really cut my teeth into manufacturing and into product, what it takes to build vehicles and all the whole host of things there. So during my time at Tata Motors, I actually had the opportunity to get into product development. And product development, and this is way back in 87, 88, when Tata Motors also was making its first light commercial vehicle. So I was a part of that team. That's when I caught the bug of product development. But as luck would have it, I got put into a sales and marketing activity in that
Sales.
organization. So I was in product development, sales and marketing, and I really became sort of this person who was the bridge between engineering and product, and the customer. And that's how I learned. And I had a whole career. My whole career has been in sort of marketing. When I went back to the US to do my MBA, I specialized in marketing, but also in operations research and marketing research. And that's when I got to understand customer. And that is where, even during my career at Ford Motor Company, where I spent about 20 plus years developing
Yes.
markets in India, Asia Pacific, and in other, then I was part of the global team that was doing a lot of the analytics that was going in. I became part of the team that was also looking at acquisitions and how to partner with it. That's when I learned this part. And then I chose to retire and I started MillenStrat. MillenStrat is actually strategies for millennials.
Oh,
And that was where the core target was evolving. This whole transformation that was happening in the auto industry from product to mobility, for example, that was the transformation. And I was very much involved in that for the last 3 years of my sort of thing. That's when I decided that, these Ford and other companies, very legacy, very, they're looking to be agile. But when I started meeting startups on during the journey, I said, whoa, there's a whole thing for me to learn over here. I don't even know all these things that have been happening. So that's when I stepped out, and that's when I started MillenStrat, and that's when I started to engage with a lot of them. So on the advisory board of a number of startups that are doing it, I was learning from them how they look at customers, how they're thinking of the world 10, 15 years later. What are the kind of engagements and customer experiences they have? So I actually started to work with auto companies to help them on that journey as to how they have to digitalize retail, how they have to change the whole, it's the augmented reality that is required for experiencing vehicles, and how we should leverage that technology to also lower the cost of acquisition that auto companies have. So I got a whole new transformation of my personal self. So I've been doing that and involved with a lot of multinational companies, both in India and abroad. And I have found I've got, in my family, there are four millennials, my two daughters, I have two nephews. And my God, everyone's a consultant in the family now,
oh,
and environment, talking about, sustainability as a part of the motors, the fact that we have to everything has to be offered, on a seamless sort of app. So
yeah.
I'm not exactly. So that's when I realized the opportunity to help other organizations, especially the legacy ones, take their
Hmm.
pivot and transformation. So that's really how I got it started into that. And then, of course, this came along. So I've taken a pause on that for a while. But
Oh,
clearly, I want to jump into that as soon as possible because I don't want to miss the action that is happening in this era right now.
yeah. That just does sound fascinating. I had no idea about that AR stuff you were talking about and how that stuff,
Yep.
even of new stuff.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I can tell you that the core thing I think I would like to advise and everyone and the listeners
Yeah.
here is that there's learning everywhere. In a
Yeah.
startup, I'll tell you the way I summarized it. For every startup, I look for now three kind of people. I look for a hack in that organization. I look for the hustler in that organization, and I look for the hipster. Okay, the hack is that technologist, that the thing that I was doing earlier, product. We guys were engineers, right? We would do that. But you know what? We guys are good at that. We shouldn't be spending our time on hustling for funding. We shouldn't be going around, doing, because if I spend more time over here, then I know that there'll always be product evolution going on.
Yeah.
The hustler has a skill set which can bring that business in. He or she is the one that can actually get the funding. Let them have that skill. And whatever voice we're hearing and whatever challenges and opportunities, that has to be translated into from a customer voice into an engineering voice, and then that makes for the hack to get it, and he or she can translate and solve that problem there. But that can take you so far. If you're thinking, remember, you have to scale up the business. You have to then make it into a transformational one, and then you have to offer it to everyone. That's where the hipster comes in,
It's
making it cool, packaging it, putting it all together, and giving it into a marketing startup proposition, which then gets communicated, and that develops the large scale. If you think that is how Apple was born,
Yeah.
Wozniak was the hack, right? He's the one. And then you
Yeah.
have Steve Jobs who came in. I mean, he wasn't a techno
Yeah.
guy, right? He was
Hostel.
like into calligraphy, he was into Buddhist studies, but he brought in that hustling bit in the beginning. But then he also realized that I can't do this. There's a bigger skill available, and that's when he got Scully, from Pepsi to do the hipster part, and that's sort of when
Yeah, the
Apple
design stuff,
really tried.
the
So
chief product
that's
officer.
the kind of thing I
Yeah.
believe, and that's what I help advise customers and my clients at the time that this is how we should get started.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I remember in the NIN session, you had also mentioned this, the three H's.
Correct. And
Yeah,
it
a year back.
think about it. You have to simplify things. You have to
Mm,
look at it through an insight. So
mm,
we're all observers. But what gives us as engineers, what have we learned? We've learned to translate our observations and our analytics into insights, and those insights into executionable steps, which then gets into making something come to life. That's what engineers do. We create things. And that's what is a thing. We understand a problem. We make that problem statement into some kind of actionable items. And then those actionable items are then translated into an execution step. So take that skill set. It's your superpower. Put it into economics, put it into medicine, put it into art, put it into other applications, and you can be a universal skill, but always remember, generate more and more people and get more and more complementary skills and scale. Don't try to do everything yourself. That's something I would, if there's something I learned over my life, delegate, and also collaborate, and always remember you can't do everything. Bring more people in, and collectively you can, as they say, I can change the world.
yes, sir. Definitely. Delegate, collaborate, and bring more people in. Yeah. So you mentioned about all your journey and everything. How do you think the roots helped? The 5 years that you spent at IIT helped you for your long 20-year career in the auto industry, then with MillenStrat, and then finally with the Endowment Fund.
If there's one thing I learned joining IIT, and it wasn't really easy for me. I actually had to do my JE twice. I actually spent 6 years in IIT. You
Mm.
know, I actually had my initial schooling in the US. I had most of my high schooling in New York. My dad, we were all posted. My dad was posted there, so I grew up there and had a schooling. Now, coming into India was a challenge. The whole schooling system was different, the whole thing. And then here I was wanting to be an engineer. How do I go through the JE exam, right? I mean, it was tough. A different level of maths, different level of everything. But
Yeah.
what I learned, and after even joining IIT, what got me into JE? I couldn't understand the coaching classes at the time. They were Hindi. My Hindi was bad enough, and these were there. So we got a group of friends got together, and we taught each other. Somebody I had in my school. There were other batchmates like myself who had come from different countries. So we formed our own little group, and we formed a study group and did it. And because we had to do schoolwork, we had to do this. That helped me. When we joined, and we all got into IIT, believe it or not, it was great.
Ah,
When we
great.
joined IIT, and my initial rank wasn't high enough for me to get my mechanical engineering, so
Mm.
I've used that first year getting acclimatized to IIT, right? How do you do this, get there? And I used that time to learn and study and get a better rank and joined IIT again in the next year.
Oh,
Okay, that's how I got into my mechanical. The idea of this study groups has till in our 5 years, here you were in an institute that had everything: swimming pools, squash courts. We had tennis, you had plays, you had. I was making sure that I was not going to waste my youth. Okay. This is a time I have everything here with me. I'm going to take a taste of everything. Took part in all sports. Okay. The gymnasium, the swimming pool. I love swimming. Till today, I swim every day. COVID prohibited, stopped it this year, but every day a kilometer is what I swim during season.
long.
Okay. And the second thing is that take part in all these activities. Took part in plays. I took part in almost all the institute English plays from my first year all the way up to my fifth year. And actually also during the drama sort of, you have all the drama interhostel meet, was the
Yeah.
best actor awardee also there. Went to all different inter university sort
Mm.
of the like Rendezvous. We had Rendezvous. You had
Yeah.
Indigo in Mood Indigo in Bombay. You had others in Chennai, and went to all of those. Bits Pilani, Oasis. We
Yeah.
part of the contingents that went to all these different and had a chance to see those universities. So the time was really spent in maximizing what was available. Yes, we attended classes, but guess what? We followed the same routine that get a group together. I attended two of the cloud courses, another guy attended two. And then before the minor and major, we got together and did pretty reasonably well. The idea was you don't need to, we're not going to be the toppers. That was clear. We never wanted to be. And there was so much more to be doing, right? So we did what was just the needed requirement to get a reasonable thing for the purpose that we are going out for, but maximize. So I think we did academically, we did a lot on execution, development, discovered ourselves. I discovered my passion for narratives, for storytelling, for all this when I was in my place. That's when I was part of the English debating and literally club at we called it our time. I took part in
Yeah.
quizzing. I was a big part of the organization of Rendezvous that we had at our time. We were the group that did it. I was the lead for raising sponsorships at my time, as well as the control room. We managed all, and I made the best of friends, and I learned that ability to manage execution of projects and design projects on our own, execute it on our own, and create teams that were inspired and work on our own. So that's really where I think IIT really helped. And the big part was we were on campus. I think that was the magic. I mean,
That.
when you're in your own place in your own time, you're your master of your time, right? And
Yeah.
so I think all of those things happen. Academically, I think we all did very reasonably well. I can't remember too much of what I had done, which is why I think going back out and doing it practically really helped a lot and really brought in a lot of appreciation. It was all latent. I learned a lot of things, but I realized it only later, you know?
Oh,
So I got a lot to be thankful for on that part.
yeah, yeah. That holistic experience was something which probably. So if you feel like if you could just go back and do something different on a more personal note, but love, if you feel like sharing, what would that be?
I think the idea here is don't be in a hurry.
Okay.
Okay. The big bad world, you have plenty of time. You're going to be working for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Don't miss out on your time that you're in this campus. Enjoy this journey. Yes, I know it's competitive, it's everything, but find the right balance. Find the right fit for you. Yes, there you have ideas, you want to put it. Yes, fine. You don't have to, the job is not the end all. You have an idea, you want to take your entrepreneurship journey, you want to put your idea, put it to that. Discover yourself, experiment, experiment, experiment in the safe environment that you're here right now. Enjoy that. Okay,
Yeah.
use the time that you have on campus to know each other, find some of your best friends, find collaborative, find and discover yourself, because that is what this age is about. I can tell you, we all feel constrained on funds, we feel a little bit of hesitancy. Don't allow that, because when you realize later in life you'll have the funds, you'll have everything, but you won't have the physical ability, for example. You may not have the attitude. You may not have that risk aversiveness that you have right now. You're young, right? You have the whole world and time to do all this one. So please don't get too narrow. Expand your horizons as much as you can. Use the opportunity of resources that are available to do it. Learn with the best that you have, but at the end, discover yourself. Choose a course of action that you feel is where your heart and your mind is at. Stick with it. I know it sounds cliched, but when you look at it from my perspective now, I
Mm.
think I'm most happy that I took that opportunity to do that, and I'll ever be grateful for getting me out of home, out of my comfort zone, and helping me to understand what is it that I could do. So, and that confidence and that ability to manage anything that I deal with around the world and figuring it out, make friends and choose people who
Mm.
can be a partner in my journey. I think that's amazing.
Okay, so nothing to do it over again means. You just feel it's good.
I love it. I think the course that I've had, the people that I met, I would advise that to everyone.
Wow.
The same thing was, I'll tell you, this happened uh, with my daughter. Okay,
Okay.
she also asked the same question when she was going and joining her university. For undergrad, she was going to the U.S. and she was being interviewed for that. And she asked one of the interviewer there, if she was to do something, what would she have done? And she said, you know what I really regret? That I didn't make more friends. You know, the idea is that here I have a chance to meet some of the best people in the
Yeah.
world. And you know what? We're on equal terms. The best part about IIT is that you are all at par. When we came in, we were all from our colleges and schools and everything. We're the best, right? But when
Yeah.
came here, we were at par. I mean,
Mm.
there were no, everyone's at parity. And the thing is that is the fact that really drives you and gets you to relate with each other. And the fact is that the diversity that this institute had and the kind of group that you could meet, people from different parts of the country, people from different parts of the world, get a strong appreciation for that. And I
Yeah.
think that's the best part. Don't isolate yourself.
Yeah.
Enjoy the company, enjoy the journeys everyone is taking, understand and get to relate with that, and see how you can learn and experience from that, just like what you're doing right here. This is
Yeah.
the perfect forum, and this is exactly where I would encourage more and more people to be a part of, because it's fun. I
Yes, sir.
believe that I maximize that. And my daughter did the same thing. She took that one to heart. She is sort of one of the most, she's a teacher today also. I mean, she's a consultant. She's gone back to school. Why? Because she wants to meet more people. She wants to network more. And before she embarks on her entrepreneurial journey, she wants to make sure she's well networked. So choose a cause, find a purpose, use the safe environment. Don't waste time. Use this time productively for your personal journey, and it's your journey, nobody else's. Enjoy it.
Yes, sir. So you should sure have a memorable experience. Any specific incident which just stands out from your IIT experience those 5 years? Any very memorable moment if you feel like sharing out of all the amazing moments you might have
Oh
had?
boy, that's a tough one. But I can tell you where I'll tell you what was the most memorable experience.
Yeah.
And it's something not just for me, but I think it was for almost everyone in my group there. So as you know, our roll numbers are sort of one of the things that we in IIT realize, that that's it. You're no longer a personality, right? You're a roll number. And my roll number was 80205. So this was in 1984, okay? And it was the rendezvous at that time. You know, rendezvous at that time was just starting, right? We were doing all. It was every year it was getting bigger and bigger. And
Yeah.
in 84, what we wanted to do was is that we really wanted to create a bigger impact to all the guests that were coming from all around the country, right? So we actually made an audio visual. Okay, and that audio visual was the story of IITian, an IIT Delhi guy. All right, and the idea was to share with everyone, guys. We aren't all those superheroes that you think we are. We're just these ordinary guys who have to go through quite a bit of our own things in there, and we
Yeah.
want to give them a true, authentic view. Now, we didn't have all these digital things at that time, so we had
Yeah.
to make it in 35 millimeter slides. So we made
Oh,
an audio visual. So there are two projectors, 2 to 3 projectors. There is a carousel. We take slides, we sync them to a soundtrack, and then we play this whole thing. So we made an audio visual about the life. It was played in the seminar hall. There was standing room only on the day one of rendezvous, and the audio visual was called 80205. And
wow.
I was the protagonist of that whole journey. It was the story of how I was going through nameless, faceless, just a roll number in my journey in IIT, class, thing, hostel, everything.
Yeah.
That was the first ever sort of, exposure to sort of a bigger group of people. Hey, we IT guys are human too.
That
So
does sound
that's my 80205.
80205. Yes. So for the final question, what do you think your future goals are? Anything you are looking forward to the next 5 years? Your plans and stuff.
See, I think all of us, when we reach this stage in our lives, I
Mm-hmm.
think there's always, as you said,
Mm-hmm.
we look back and say, if I had something, what did I miss out on? We all have a bucket list, right? We all
Yeah.
have bucket lists. I have my own bucket list. That's personal, and I think always keep that. Okay, there are certain amends you have to make in life. There's
Mm-hmm.
certain, I have a next generation, my girls, my nephews, and I want to inspire them. I want to support them on their journeys, but I also want to adopt and support other people also because you never know. Our time is we have a lot to be grateful for, but more importantly, the learning can never end, right?
Yeah.
And I just believe that there's something that we have been sort of given our purpose in life for. We still have to discover that. So as I say, my best time is still yet to come. Again, sounds cliche. I don't
Yes,
know
that
what it
sounds
is,
great.
but all I'm going to do is I'm going to still be out there, do whatever I can, give it the best that I have got, and I know something is going to be an experience which I have. So don't hold back, keep experiencing, keep learning, keep meeting people, whatever opportunity you have, be open. You may find that there's still something that you've not experienced, but more importantly, there's something that you have still to do. And the more you give yourself an opportunity to be out there, the more certain and probably the higher probability that you will achieve it. That's all. So
Yes.
no holding back, none
Yes, sir.
whatsoever.
Thanks a lot, sir. This was really phenomenal. I really got up to hear a lot about your experiences, a lot of which was very, very enriching. I hope all the viewers would also feel the same and everything.
No,
Yeah, I'm
thank
really
you. Thank you
glad.
for the chance. Like I said,
Yeah, even I'm
enjoy
glad.
this journey, make a lot of friends. It's
Yes,
wonderful to, I
definitely.
can't see all of you out there, but I want to thank you for being, if you're watching this video till this time, then thank you so much for that patience and for being a part of this.
Yes, sir. Definitely. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. All the very
Yes.
best to everyone. Okay, take care.